We are choosing the world we want to have. That is what's been going on in our world over the last several years, and I've been talking about it. I've been calling it a restructuring, but I knew a lot of people couldn't understand what I was saying or didn't hear me or they weren't paying attention. But we've moved into a place where I have to talk about it a bit more, and hopefully more people will pay attention. The way that the world is changing now, it's doing it energetically. It's the same way that we create our lives. We create our lives energetically. We know this from sciences now, and if you study quantum mechanics, you'll know that that's exactly how we create the world. But what's happening now is that we're splitting apart. And so everybody's going to have to choose who they want to be. When you choose who you want to be, you put that energy into the world. Now, if you're going to choose to continue to judge yourself and be hateful and think that you screwed everything up, you're putting negative, lower energy into the world. And if you're going to put that energy onto others so that you don't have to look at it within yourself, you're doing exactly the same thing. And that's what we're going to see more of. And I'm talking about this because I've channeled all of this information for the last several years. It's how I created my program, and I've been showing examples of that. Everything that's happening in the world, I've talked about, so it's not a surprise. I talked about we could have a war. I said we could bring in another leader like a Hitler, and people didn't understand what that meant, but I received information beforehand, and I received more information about what's coming up because we're going to move through some challenging times, beginning in the United States, but it's happening all over the world, and this is where we each have to choose. What kind of world do you want? What kind of life do you want to have? Because it's all within you. It's within each single person, and it's all mindset. I started receiving information, cosmic information, guidance in 1988, well before anyone who would be seeing this knew me. No one knew that was happening because I had moved through so many things in my life that I needed help. When I started receiving the information, I did so many things no one could understand or believe. I healed things. I went through addictions. I lost part of my foot. I had to learn to walk again. I've gone through everything that any person can possibly imagine. This is why I relate to my clients, because I understand what you're moving through. I know your shame. I know your guilt. I know your embarrassment. I know all those things because I had to move through them. I know your depression. Yeah, I was clinically depressed, and I had to move through that one as well. And everything that I did and the way that I healed it was from all the information that I downloaded every single day from my guide from Wilhelm. And this is where we are moving now. But now I know I have to step up my game as you do. We have to decide that we're going to love ourselves, do the thing that we were given. Everyone was given something. There's nobody left out. We just don't believe it sometimes, or we just don't, we buy the imposter syndrome. That's the really big one. You are not an imposter. You were given something to develop, but it just takes your cognitive acceptance of that to be able to live it and live a magnificent life. And I will tell you what I was told. This is guidance that I received, and you probably have seen some of it. But in 2021, I was told that I had all the information that would help people move through this period. And my goal was to get them to succeed, to get them to become happy, prosperous, and bring a whole new light and love into the world. And that's what I'm doing. And I've already done it because I started in December of 2021, and people are already doing that. But we're moving into another period now, which is why I'm talking about this and why I'm changing my program again, because I have to do more, just like you do. And when we see the disruption that's going to come up, because we're going to see things that have never happened, you've already heard this so much in these last several years, unprecedented. Well, yeah, we're moving through changes, galactic changes that we haven't ever experienced. Nobody's lived through this. However, what I was told, and you can choose to believe what you want, but I was told I was given this work that could help everyone become who they're meant to be, and then they would be loving, they would be prosperous, and they would add a different kind of energy to the world. Yeah, and it sounds very Pollyanna. I love using that because that's something I was given years ago, because that's how I see things. I know that if we change our minds, then we're going to create something very different in the world. And the odd thing was, when I received this information, I was given daily messages to change my mind. Daily messages to change my mindset. So that's exactly the same thing I'm doing with my clients. This is why it's working. This is why you hear the results that they're receiving, because we're working with the most important thing that you could really want to take control of, and that is your mind, your mindset. You can't achieve the goals that you want to have. You can't do anything unless you develop that to this, what I call unstoppable, and that's what my work does. And that's the reason I guarantee it, because I know that it works. There's no way that I could have moved through all the things that I have in my life, more than you could possibly imagine. The illnesses, the diseases, the surgeries, the losing part of my foot, the learning how to walk again. I could go on, but it's not. You don't need that. I just know that what is possible. I can remember. I'll tell you one thing though, because this is a generational move that we're all change that we're all moving through. And for many, many years, I had back issues, and I thought, well, maybe that's my problem. I inherited that from my father. No, I healed all of that because I used my mind to change that. I don't have to carry that anymore. Neither do you. And this is the work that I have developed to get you to the place where you understand and love who you are and make your contribution to the world, because you have it. Everyone does. We just sometimes don't believe that. I've worked with clients for more years than you can imagine, and I see it all the time. It just takes time for them to really accept the gifts that they have, because we all have them. And when I started creating people who became superstars, that didn't happen overnight. It came from them, again, doing the daily work of accepting who they were and starting to develop and own their talent, and that's how they became who they are. Everybody can do that. And so what I'm doing now is working with those people who want to become their best selves, who want to offer something to the world that's going to make a change, because again, it's going to be energetic. And I'm talking about this because it's going to be so important for you to remember when you see all of these things happening. We've all been questioning, why do we have the pandemic? Why are we having all the weather events? Why are we having the war? Will we have a nuclear war? All those things. All of those things are possible unless we change. That's what it is. It's up to each of us. We are creating and choosing the world that we want to have. We can be hateful and want and continue in the way we've been going, or we decide to be happy, become prosperous, because this is a big monetary change as well. This change in our world that's why you're seeing all the stuff happening with the banks and all of that, because we're supposed to give more to others and accept more for ourselves if we're doing something that is making a contribution, if we're doing something that's going to help uplift others. And that's the work that I'm doing. And I'll tell you, I didn't talk about this for so long. When I started first receiving my information in 1988, I didn't want anybody to know, because I thought, wait a minute, this is too weird. How am I doing this? How am I changing everything? How did I create a multi-million-dollar business? I said, I can't tell people this. They're going to think I'm out of my mind. And then when I started talking about what was happening several years ago, I saw people kind of running away. No, this isn't happening. It is happening. We are changing. You will never be the same. And the best thing that you can do is decide to become happy. That is the most powerful thing that you can do. It is the greatest contribution that you could offer the world, to decide to become happy and prosperous. And all it takes is moving through the restrictions and limitations, which you do with the mindset work that I have. Everybody moves through it, and you start to discover, oh wow, I'm really a great person. Oh wow, I can really do something. I was just fooling myself by believing I couldn't do those things before. And I always take you there because I'm intuitive, I'm a sage, I'm a mystic, and I can feel everything that's going on for you. And so we can move through any blockages, any difficulties that you might have, because you're supposed to have a great life. Everyone is. We just take different roadmaps, so to speak, and different paths. But every path is important. And if you love yourself, you're going to make the greatest difference in the world that we're all going to create.